persistence, patience, consistency. 3 similar, collaborative, but different disciplines you need to master to be successful. That's the conversation today on the Saturday Morning Hustle. It's Saturday. We're in the office, outworking the competition while they sleep in. Today on the podcast, we're going to talk about these 3 disciplines, how they're collaborative but different. You may think that they seem to be the same thing, but they're definitely distinctive differences that I'll explain to you and how you utilize it in your pursuit of success. First, let's talk about patience, because great things do not happen simply or quickly. There's no such thing as an overnight success. It's a pure myth. You must have patience in order to put in the effort, to put in the work, to trial and error and your A/B testing and doing things, kind of feeling your way through the process to learn and to understand. You can't get great at something until you start as a complete amateur, 1% skill in what it is you're trying to achieve, do it the first time, not doing it well, stumble your way through it, but learning in the process so that you can continually improve. It takes patience to work through the process of continual improvement on the road to mastery. Again, it doesn't happen quickly. It doesn't happen simply. There's a lot of effort. There's a lot of time. There's a lot of doing things over and over again. There's a lot of learning from your mistakes and continual adjustment. And some people will say that there are some things in life you never necessarily master, but you continually get better at. You have to have patience in that process in order to complete that process, to go from your first attempt to your 10,000th attempt, to go from an absolute amateur, a beginner, the first time doing something, to becoming a master, to becoming an expert, to being fully capable of doing something, of knowing something, of understanding something. You have to start in a minimal place and finish at a higher level, but you can only get there if you are patient. The best deals in life, the best relationships, all of the things you need to build a business or anything successful comes through being patient in the process, by understanding the big picture, by doing your day-to-day activity, but working towards your objectives, which helps you get to your goals. Reaching your goals is how you achieve ultimate success. It's how you move yourself forward. It's how you advance. It's how you grow. It's how you develop. It's how you get better. That only will happen if you are patient in the process. If you're patient with people, if you're patient in building relationships as opposed to closing on a sale the moment you meet someone, expecting things to happen simply and quickly and expecting things to happen for you that you have not earned. You can't do things in the right way if you're not patient. But you might be thinking to yourself, if I'm patient, how am I ever achieving anything? If I'm patiently waiting to develop skills, to develop relationships, waiting for the right situation, the right scenario, the right circumstances to come along, if I'm patient in that process, how do I achieve anything? You achieve things by being persistent. Patient is understanding and taking your time through the development process, but persistence is the movement forward while you're being patient. By taking small steps, by achieving small things, by achieving your daily task, by building upon your 1%, your 2%, your 5%, your 10%, your 20%, your 80%. That building process is moved forward patiently by executing persistently. Persistence is sticking to the process. Persistent is going through the evolution, learning and developing and adjusting and growing and all of those things, because you're taking actions today that make you 1% better than you were yesterday by persistent pursuit of success, persistent pursuit of elevation, persistent, consistent patience. This is how all these three things go together. So patience is understanding the scope and taking your time to do things right. Persistence is taking the actions within what it is you're trying to achieve and making continual improvement by doing and then learning from on a regular basis is persistence. It's the same thing when you're trying to build relationships or in a sales cycle for your business. The first time you meet someone, you're complete strangers, you begin the process of understanding each other. You have to be patient that you won't have a deep and trusted understanding of each other for a long time, because that takes time and it takes multiple conversations and it takes in depth of those conversations. But to go back to building that relationship, go back to those conversations to learn about the person you're building a relationship with, to express yourself in that scenario, to do all the things necessary to earn their trust, to earn their respect, to develop your relationship, takes actions that you must be persistent at. If you're not persistent, you have gaps in your effort, gaps in your gains, gaps in the process, which slows down the overall process. So patience tells you it's a long time to develop skills. It takes a long time to build relationships. It takes a long time to actually sell something if you're doing it in the right way. And I'll explain that little sidebar in a second. Patience is the long-term vision. Persistence is continually trying to do it, continually trying to improve, continually trying to move yourself forward, continually trying to get 1% better every time, continually building upon the relationship you're trying to create, and building on the sales cycle, the funnel, the conversion process in trying to make a sale or do something that's beneficial for your business. So business runs on ultimately conversion of sales. You're selling a product or service, you're selling something of value, you are doing something of value that people give you money for. That's how businesses work, right? I shouldn't have to explain that to you if you're listening to this podcast. But you can't simply build your widget and then walk around to every person that you run into in random ways, hand them the widget and ask for money. You have to understand who your proper audience is. You have to market to them. You have to advertise to them. You have to communicate to them. You have to entice them. You have to get them interested in your widget. You have to get them excited about your widget. You have to get them to understand the value and the use and all the things that come with purchasing your widget, whether it's a product or service. And then when they find value in the transaction, then conversion happens. Then you sell the widget. Then, of course, if you've priced it correctly, you understand how to run your business, you take your profit, you put it to the side, and you do it all over again. Sales is not a singular conversation, an A to B transaction. Hello, how are you? Buy this. People do not like to be sold things in that way, even if they're looking to buy it. People do not like to be strong-armed or pushed or coerced or do business with people who only want their money. People want to do business with other people who are offering a product or service with value, something that they say brings more value to their life than what they're paying for it. So if I'm paying you $10 or $10,000, I find more value in owning it than the $10 or the $10,000. That's value in the transaction. That comes from persistent patience, from, again, building the product or service, putting it into a format that can be distributed, finding your audience, attracting your audience, getting their attention, attracting them to you, educating them, informing them, explaining, demonstrating so they understand the value of it. Then for them in their own mind to decide that the value offer is better than what it costs them to purchase, then you've made available for them the actual purchase process. How do they get it? How do they pay for it? How do they receive it? How do they keep it? And then potentially, how do they repeat this transaction, which is a whole different conversation. But people don't like to be sold. They don't want you to walk up to them on the street and try to get money from them for a thing that you have simply because you want money from them. People do not appreciate that. So instead, if you will be patient with your sales cycle, and it's different for every single product, service is different for every business, different for every industry. Sometimes it's a 2-day process. Sometimes it's a 2-year process. It depends on who you are, what you're doing, and all those great things, which is too variable for us to discuss today. But persistent in your actions to move through the process, that process which you are patient in, can lead you, when you find the right combination of the right audience, the right need, the right product or service, the right value proposition, the right situation, the right price, the right value, all of that. If you patiently seek those situations out, if you persistently pursue them, but with patience, because you understand that they aren't going to buy something the first time, the first minute they know about it, if you will approach the sales cycle with patience, but persistent in pursuing the sales cycle, pursuing the process, patiently and persistently going about your business, you can build business relationships that then result in sales and profit. Now, how do you achieve both of these things at the same time while maintaining your business and moving it in the right direction, growing and establishing value, all of the things that come with being successful? You do that by being consistent. Consistent in your patience. Consistent in your persistence. Consistent in everything that you do when it comes to your pursuit of success. Consistently achieving, consistently providing value, consistently engaging, consistently building, consistently moving in the right direction, consistently creating win-win scenarios, offering value for others before yourself, consistently putting in the work, consistently changing because you're learning through the process. All of the things that lead you from amateur to professional, from beginner to expert, from an idea to a business that is profitable, from the first time you paint something to a master artist, the first time you strum a guitar to your concert in Madison Square Garden, the first time that you decide you can do it and then you become the best at it. That happens through consistency because you have to be patient and persistent. You have to work through the process. You have to have patience in the small vision to the big vision, but you persistently achieve that without gaps because you're persistent. And the lack of gaps, the continual movement, continual development, the continual elevation is consistent. If you are consistent in your continual elevation because you're persistent in the pursuit of success with patience, see how that all goes together? You can achieve success. Patience, persistence, and consistency are 3 similar, collaborative, but different disciplines you need in order to be successful. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to the Saturday Morning Hustle podcast once again. And a real example of patience, persistence, and consistency itself. Over 300 episodes, 6 years in the process, and continually finding ways to connect with you, to communicate with you, to offer value to you. And eventually, that value I present to you comes back to me in a variety of ways. When you let me know that you listen and you interact with me online, social media, leaving a review, leaving a comment, all of those things provide so much value for me. Leaving a review would be very helpful with the podcast right now, but absolutely love to hear your comments on social media or the podcast platform that you're listening to or watching on YouTube. However you engage the Saturday Morning Hustle today, I would tremendously value a comment, your feedback, your dialogue in being persistent, being patient, being consistent. Make sure that you subscribe. That helps the podcast as well. So thanks for listening. Subscribe, leave a comment, leave a review, share with a friend, follow and engage on social media, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, and of course the Saturday Morning Hustle Facebook page. Get your Saturday Morning Hustle, Entrepreneur AF, and Coffee and Donut swag. I also just recently introduced the hashtag Work Smart, hashtag Work Hard, Saturday Morning Hustle swag t-shirt as well. Make sure and check that out. all the info, all the past episodes, all of the special Balance Series episodes, everything you're looking for about this podcast is at SaturdayMorningHustle.com. See you next week.